Hello everyone, Conrad of the Commonwealth Realm here, and we got Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, Untold Chronicles from 100 Years Past, Part 2 trailer today, and it focuses on the Yiga, and also what seems to be a Gerudo Traitor, and which identity might be closely tied to a certain mysterious character hinted in Breath of the Wild. Let's just go straight into it. So we're starting obviously with Master Koga. He looks very similar to the Master Koga we remember from Breath of the Wild, belly and mask, everything complete here. Commander of the Yiga clan, and we know he also was the objective of the mission of the gameplay that we saw during the Nintendo Treehouse Live. So here we see him, and he's voiced. It's the first time actually the Yiga are being voiced, because Master Koga just had grunts and stuff like that. He didn't do much, but we see him at in this first scene at the Yiga clan hideout. We hear his theme, obviously. I think the casting is absolutely perfect. His voice is very fitting to the character.
Look what you did! The stupendous chief of the Yiga clan, Master Koga!
Goofy, but also at the same time threatening, or at least trying to be threatening. And the next scene is actually very interesting because it's located outside the Great Plateau. We see Link, we see Zelda, and we see that egg baby guardian facing Yiga assassins wielding both knives and sickles. And this settlement is none other than the Outpost Ruins, one of the settlements located right next to the Great Plateau, along with the Gate Post Town Ruins and also the East Post Ruins, which you see is under attack, since we can see the Yiga, along with a new type of commander. This is definitely not Master Koga. This is a different type of commander with two blades, so it's not a Yiga Blade Master, it's not a Yiga Assassin. It seems to be a Yiga Warrior of some sort, and probably above the Blade Masters, like maybe an officer. Maybe it's a Yiga officer actually, who is responsible for the Yiga foot soldiers that we see in the background, standing on the roof of these Hylian buildings. And we see them, Link having a duel with this probably officer of the Yiga clan. We see the outpost ruins on fire, since the Yiga have attacked, and we see also Link facing this. I would actually call him a Yiga officer at this point, because it seems that is the position he has, above the Blade Masters but below the Master Koga himself. This is obviously also before Link becomes a champion, because he's not wearing the champion tunic yet. So we see Master Koga here, right next to the infamous or famous hole, and then we see obviously the Yiga clan hideout. We see this officer that we saw before, we see Master Koga, and we see a mysterious character to the left who is holding some sort of item. Next we see Master Koga with his typical dances, just the same pretty much pose he did during the boss battle in Breath of the Wild, along with plenty of foot soldiers. It's the arena where we faced him, and right next to the hole as well. Yeah, and here we see it from a different angle, and some very nice light effects, and the same pose when we faced Master Koga in Breath of the Wild. But then the trailer changes tone, and we see the Yiga foot soldiers kneeling down to some sort of Gerudo character, and it seems to be actually in the Lost Woods for some reason. And this makes sense, because this seems to be the fortune teller, the one that King Rome referenced in his memory. Well, not memory, when he was retelling you the story 100 years ago. So this Gerudo that appears to be the fortune teller is actually holding a floating device, which is none other than a giant ancient Sheikah core. And as you can see, it's corrupted, probably signalizing from the fortune teller, or this Gerudo inside Hyrule Castle, that the Yiga have an ally inside Hyrule Castle, and that we are able to corrupt the technology that we have now tricked the Kingdom of Hyrule and the Sheikah of Kakariko to unearth after 10,000 years, because we'll be able to take over this weaponry with pretty much a Uno reverse card. That's probably what it is. It's a giant ancient core, and it could mean also that this Gerudo has some connection to the Yiga clan more than we think, because this Gerudo has yellow eyes, which is a trait of the old Gerudo, which you may remember from Ocarina of Time, where the Gerudo had yellow eyes, which could mean that this Gerudo was not mixed with Hylian blood, which many of the other Gerudo seem to be, but rather with perhaps Sheikah, or in this case Yiga blood, and that this was a false prophet and messenger delivered to the Kingdom of Hyrule, which we know was allied with the Gerudo tribe. In other words, an inside job. And fittingly enough, we have another imposter as well in the Zelda timeline, Agahnim, in A Link to the Past, who worked as an advisor who was able to calm the tumultuous that was going around the Kingdom of Hyrule shortly up, leading to A Link to the Past, but who turned in the end to be a servant of Ganon, and who literally backstabbed the King of Hyrule, and also imprisoned the sages, including Princess Zelda of Hyrule. I'm not going to go much more into Agahnim, but obviously it's the same behavior, and it's also suggesting perhaps some connection to the downfall timeline in this case, with the fortune teller being tied to Ganon in some way, and also being an imposter within Hyrule Castle, first playing as an ally or advisor to the King of Hyrule, and then backstabbing him afterwards. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, but then again, we need to keep in mind that Breath of the Wild references a lot of different branches of the timeline. We have the unified timeline with the ancient Sheikah, we have the downfall timeline now, which what seems to be the fortune teller and a few other things. We have the child timeline with its references, and as well adult timeline with its references in Koroks and so on. And also the fact that they are meeting in the Lost Woods makes it very apparent that this Gerudo, or in this case possibly fortune teller, wanted to meet the Yiga close to Hyrule Castle, but in a location that the Hylians would not be able to get to themselves because of the nature of getting lost in the Lost Woods. So it's like a perfect meeting place between the traitor and the Yiga clan. At the same time, when we look at this character, and especially the eye of this character, people are pointing to Vati, a character that we saw in the Unified and Child timeline, which also had this gem in the middle. So could there be some sort of connection? I still think I'm leaning towards just being an outcast Gerudo, or a Gerudo being raised by the Yiga and brought in as an imposter within Hyrule Castle, serving as a fortune teller to take over the Sheikah technology, get the Hylians together with the Sheikah of Kakariko to go and relocate the divine beasts and many of the guardians to make the job and invasion of Calamity Ganon so much easier. And this just shows how evil it was. Alright, I think that sums it up. This was a trailer about the villains, obviously, the traitors, and the people who in many ways also contributed and planned the downfall of the Kingdom of Hyrule and the rise of Calamity Ganon, and thus the events eventually leading to Breath of the Wild 2. So if you enjoyed this analysis of this villain trailer, then be sure to click that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because we'll do plenty more Age of Calamity videos. We already have one topical one from last week. We're actually uploading 2 Zelda videos from now on each week. So also a big thanks obviously to all our gracious patrons on patreon.com/commonrealm, and in particular our royal producer Charles Shash. So until the next video, please enjoy one or both of these 2 awesome videos.